Namaskar and welcome. We are here to introduce and do a practice founded by our Guru Maharaj. So the agenda would be that I will do a little introduction for you, and then I will pass it on to Sanjeev Bhaiya. I will introduce him too. And
Praveen, can you sit here? I think they need to.
And then Bhaiya will lead us into the practice, how we do it, and then we will leave it for an open question and answer session. So the intent is that anytime we start something new, it is good to sort of speak from a personal experience. So I will just share a little bit about myself, and then we will go into that. So we are here to practice a rare and unique system of meditation that was initiated by Guru Maharaj, Dr. Paramsant Dr. Chaturved Sahayji. And he established this practice and system in 1930 in Mathura. And since then, the Satsang family has been growing in India, in Europe, and US. Most of the work that Guru Maharaj Ji wrote about was obviously in Hindi, but now Sanjeev Bhaiya and others are taking lead to make it available as in English as well, and also conduct these formats here in an English setting. I am a third generation. So my father, my grandfather, and we all visited. My father got initiated when he was in college. And since then, we were embraced by Guru Maharaj Ji and the family. And we are just family. So what basically my grandmother, my brothers and sisters, my sisters here, so we are all associated with the family. What we've been, there have been many, there are many sessions that are organized in India that we have been attending ever since childhood. We met as a family, we meet as a family. Sanjeev Bhaiya is an elder brother to me. So, and I have been blessed, we all have been blessed with the love and affection from the family. What I'm trying to lead to is the fact that Ramashram Satsang has some unique things that that I have felt that I would like to share, and it is for you to judge for yourself. We have, the focus is on becoming a better human being rather than trying to prescribe rules and create a following. So my father, as I said, his name was R.B. Mathur, and he came into association with Guru Maharaj, and he learned under him and all the other elders in the discipline and the order in the family. And he wrote many books. The books were intended to be an expression of his understanding and interpretation, and sort of, augment and take it further the simplistic teachings of Guru Maharaj. One of the key things that I perceived during that Guru Maharaj did was that he made things very easy for all of us to understand and relate to. One of the things that my father has written in one of his interpretations is, how should a beginner who's new to satsang have the mental makeup to get the best outcome? Should he have an open mind? with genuine inquisitiveness, or should he come in with a lot of shraddha, a faith and devotion? So it is quite a challenging question, because you question, how would you expect anybody to have faith and sincerity without understanding what I'm getting into? So I will attempt in my way, as I understand, a few things that will help you understand. So we all as human beings, we live in two worlds. There's a world that's outside, and there's a world that is within us. Most of our efforts are devoted to the improvement and the betterment and the enrichment of the world outside. So just keep these as things that we will relate to. I will also express three words to you to come back again and again. One is orientation, the second is hygiene, and the third one is the priority or the role. And I will elaborate and link back again. So without going into the enigma and the maze of systems and different practices, I will try and summarize an assessment that we have all learned from Guru Maharaj. No, nothing is wrong, nothing is bad. It's just a different path. There are many ways to get to the same objective. And we as humans adapt or would pick what suits us. And so the three different categories are where the establishment of divinity changes the school that you want to participate in. So the first one is where the divinity, the divine, resides in the outside world. We build temples, we build places of worship. So the entity of the Lord, the divine, is outside. So that is an external mode. The second one is where it says that the divinity that we see in the temple and places of worship also resides in us. Now, that changes the mode, the approach. Now, for this part to realize or to search for that divinity in ourselves, we have to look inside. Now, this is becoming internal. And the third one is where the divine is present in the temples or places of worship. That divine is present in you, but that divine is also present everywhere. So if you look at it from a perspective of knowledge and learning, it is a very natural progression that, there is a physical form that we can relate to, then it gradually goes into abstraction, and then it becomes omnipresent. And again, one thing that we have to remember, that in all these systems, there is an element of doing. You have to go to the temple. You have to do the practice. But there is something beyond that Guru Maharaj Ji propagated and taught us, is that there is a method by which the learning is also transferred. So what Ramashram Satsang is a combination of, is an amalgamation of the three. So the first one, where it resides outside, where we have to do karma, to get there. The second one is where we have to look inside, is upasana. And the third one is the jnana. So the doing, the introspection, and the realization that it is everywhere, that combination is the practice that Sanjeev Bhaiya will elaborate on. So keeping these three in mind, now if we go back to the three words I mentioned, the first one is the orientation. Our system of practice takes the second, where we have to look inside. So that's that component. The objective of our practice is to stop the turbulence of the mind and turn it inwards, and also cleanse the heart and the mind. So when we are talking about cleansing, it's hygiene, that we look about to do everything that we do for the external world. Do we? It's a question that we have to ask ourselves. Do we actually apply ourselves to that portion to bring some order to our inside? What Ramashram Satsang does not ask you to do is give up anything. What Ramashram Satsang does not do is that there is no formal initiation. There is nothing required or asked of you to sign up for a membership or pay some dues. What we are asking you is to add on something that we feel is beneficial, and that is why I wanted to share this with you. So in the end, I will, before I introduce Sanjeev Bhaiya, I will just say, sum it up back. And the third point I forgot. I talked about the orientation and the hygiene. The third point was the priority. So I said that Guru Maharaj Ji said that you do not have to give up anything. You have to add. Now, if there is something that is added to our routine, it is now a question of assigning priorities. What becomes a major activity in a certain given time, and what stays as a minor activity in the rest of the time. Our system of practice does not put any demand, but it's like anything that we do. If I have to catch a flight, that becomes my priority. That gains precedence over everything. My family, the people I love, the things I love to do, I have to leave them and focus on how I will catch the flight and be there on time. So it is a question of prioritizing. So the three things: the orientation, the hygiene, and the prioritization. And because everything that Bhaiya will explain in detail, there is simplicity, there is a minimum demand of time, and definitely there is an ease of practice. So with this, I will say that I personally, my family, we have been included in that realm of love, that there are no hard and fast rules to follow. Therefore, there is an ease of adopting this practice for all times, for all ages. Thank you. That is all I had to share about myself. But now I will introduce you to Sanjeev Bhaiya. Sanjeev Bhaiya is the grandson of Guru Maharaj Ji, Param Sant Dr. Chaturbhuj Sahai. We have had so many elders in the family who have led us as a unit. Again, back to those points that nothing is required to be given up. Sanjeev Bhaiya is a full-fledged IT professional, and yet he has been leading practice sessions for a very, very long time. He lives in the DC, Northern Virginia area, and really he will lead us through this practice. So thank you for coming, and please enjoy the rest of the session.
Thanks, Praveen. We have started these English sessions, but the core practice remains the same. And I will talk about, the differences. So I wanted to talk about like what are the different methods which, Guru Maharaj talked about, like our goal should be to get to the ocean of peace. Where is the ocean of peace? How do we get there? So first, let's practice. I think it's always better to practice, experience it, and then we will connect the dots. Then we'll say where, we'll dive further into what Praveen just talked about. So I think, Yuan, if you could bring up the inner yoga slide. So basically, yoga is union of the body, mind, and soul, or yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. So basically, when you are completely devoid of the thought processes and your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind is also has stopped the waves that that basically are distracting your mind. That's when Maharishi Patanjali said, like, yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. So yoga is when your unconscious mind is completely devoid of the thought waves, because that is what is disturbing your peace within. So yoga was that, right? Maharishi Patanjali, when he established it, he basically said, and there are so many variations of yoga, but if those variations fit into the 8 limbs that he described, then it is a yogic practice. And so asanas and pranayams, which is like physical exercises, breathing exercises. Then you have yam and niyam, which is like the behavioral aspects of yoga. But then what Guru Maharaj said was that, okay, physical, the body needs to be toned, breathing needs to be deep, and it needs to be toned too. Your behavior needs to be, it actually, he describes like 10 different dimensions of behavior. But Guru Maharaj said that all this, if you want to do, first fix and tone your mind. Start there. Rather than the other way around, because that takes much longer. So I was, as Praveen and I used to go to these sessions as a kid. So I was born in Satsang. What I find is that it's a yogic practice, but I would rather call it inner yoga. And inner yoga takes almost a middle of the ground approach or top down approach, rather than going all the way from asanas and pranayams and yam and niyam and then get to the meditative practices. Guru Maharaj said, let's start there. So what do you need to do? And actually, I was reading, Praveen's father, I used to call him uncle. And he wrote so many books. And this one I just saw, it says Adhyatmik Charchaएं, which is like spiritual discussions. So it's not even like I am telling you this. These are discussions. These are so very, he was very learned. He met Guru Maharaj in 1943. He said, like, I started the practice, very impressed with Guru Maharaj. And the approach was so open and flexible, but very deep and powerful. So he actually, gives an example. So he was a, a forest officer, right? So in 1952, which is about 9 years after he met Guru Maharaj, and he was practicing, he had to go deep into the forest for some data collection. And so it was like almost 50, 60 miles inside deep forest, no civilization around. So the bus would take you to a place, you get down there and literally walk. There was no way to like drive in either. So he gets down from the bus, he moves in, and he sees a yogi. In India, you find these yogis, you could see him and you feel, oh, this is a sage. So everyone with him touched his feet. And he is a learned man. He's like, so he wanted to touch his feet because in India, that's the way you show respect to sages and saints and all. So he somehow wanted to do that, but then shook his hand instead. And something happened. And then he went in 50 miles. Then he found a place where they put some tents. And he says, like, we started working. So morning to evening, they will go in, collect all the data, come back in the tent and somehow, sleep. And then like 2-3 days later, the same sage that he had seen when he was trying to come in was around his tent. And he was like, and he won't go away. So obviously he said, okay, so, what can I do for you? So he didn't say anything, just continued. So the conversation happened. He said, okay, come in my tent. It was a very, very small place. And he came in, they started talking. And he offered him something, there was not much. And then the evening time came. So Guru Maharaj used to say, practice morning and evening. So it was his time for practice. And now this guy in the small tent, and he didn't want to be rude. And he's like, it's now my time to meditate. And the sage won't go away. And so he had to tell him, okay, I have to meditate and you will have to be quiet, or if you want, you can walk around. He said, no, I'll be here. So somehow he said, like, okay, you will have to be quiet. And now this person sits there and he starts his meditation, which we will do shortly. And then after whatever time, it used to be a little longer earlier. Nowadays, we can't sit for 10 minutes. So he, came out of his meditation and finds this sage is now completely like in a samadhi. He was like transported somewhere else. He's not moving. He's total deep meditation. It's like, So then finally he had to shake him. So he waited for some time and then he had to shake him. And he said like, okay. And this sage now is asking Praveen's father that, where did you learn this? I want to learn this. He said, I think I now found what I was searching for 20 years. And he was saying, like, I thought he was a sage who was very accomplished, and now he wants to learn what so he was like, he was very young. It was like, wow, this is, he was quite stunned, he writes. And he gave Guru Maharaj's address, and this person he wouldn't travel on, any transport. He would walk from there to Mathura, where Guru Maharaj was, and he eventually got there. So sometimes when things are simple, when things are free, when things are freely given. So he actually writes in the same article that Dada Guru Maharaj, which is Guru Maharaj's guru, he used to call everybody to his house. Practice, eat here, be here as long as you want. There is no, it was almost like he created this strong bond and connection. And he said that I want to have this family, this spiritual family, get transported to that sage state that I would call it. You go to higher consciousness because you are with someone who is at that higher level. That's all. That's all there is to it. So he says, like, he wouldn't even say like how long you practice, how often you practice. It was just that, come meet me, and because I'm there, you will be there. And that actually Guru Maharaj writes in his 7-volume book that before even the first time they practiced together, Guru Maharaj's guru had already through this process, this practice that we will do, he had already taken him to, like, cleansed him in ways that when they first sat, he was like at a place where he had tried so many things for 2 decades before he met Dada Guru Maharaj. And this was like nothing that he had experienced before. So anyway, so coming back to this 8 limbs of yoga that Maharishi Patanjali has, it has, the 4 limbs, which is asana, pranayam, and yam and niyam, which is basically physical exercises, breathing exercises, and traits that you should have, traits that you should give up. But the other 4 are the meditative practices. Let's refer them as inner yoga: inward orientation, concentration, meditation, and higher consciousness. This is what makes up the practice that we will just do. So how do we do that? So inward orientation, you close your eyes and you sit in a relaxed and still posture. So inward orientation is important because peace is inside. You want to find that peace within yourself. And Praveen was talking about that. And concentration, what's the object of concentration? And I will describe that deeply, because a lot of people these days, what you want to manifest and something that you give your mind to, play with, that activity is not meditation. Meditation is deeper. So just if you're listening to music, that helps your concentration. But that's not meditation. When you forget, so in the first step, so inward orientation is that you are thinking about the world, your 5 senses are going outwards, you collect them and focus all of them inwards. So when you stop the 5 senses to go to the outer world. Instead, you focus inwards. That's inward orientation. Then you give your mind a center of focus, one thought. So from multitude of thoughts coming to one thought is dharana. So how do you do that? Basically, Guru Maharaj said, focus on transcendental energy in form of light. Okay, so no activity. What we do is we focus on light. So transcendental energy in form of light, and try to see that this light, this transcendental energy is right here, right now in front of you. And that light is coming into your heart and is distributing throughout your body. And you are becoming totally and completely immersed in that light. So what do we do? Number one, eyes lightly closed, sit in a relaxed posture. Because every time your body moves, your mind moves with it. So we want to minimize that. We want to minimize the distractions of the mind. So for inward orientation, there are two very important steps here. Still posture and eyes lightly closed, because sensory input that's coming from your eyes, we want to stop that. So eyes lightly closed.
Yeah, sure.
And relaxed and still posture. And now you come to what you want to manifest. So here, Guru Maharaj said, manifest the transcendental energy in form of light. So this light, this transcendental energy is right here, right now in front of us, and it's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. When mind wanders away, bring it back. Bring it back to this thought and this thought alone, that this transcendental energy in form of light is in front of us. This light is entering our heart, enlightening our heart, and then it's getting distributed to every part of the body. So we are becoming that light. We are becoming that transcendental energy. So this process of transformation is basically light, which is wisdom, which is opposite of darkness. Light, which is knowledge, is with us, and that's entering our heart, distributing throughout our body, and we are becoming one with this light. We are becoming the light. Mind will wander away. We can talk about the monkey mind later after meditation, but here, what we're trying to do is sit still, eyes closed, and we are focusing. So the barrage of thoughts have to go away. We have to focus on this thought, one thought. There's no activity here. That there is this transcendental energy in form of light, which is entering our heart, distributing throughout our body. And every time the mind moves away from it, just bring it back to this. You do any other chanting, any other mindfulness, anything else, you can do it before or after. During this time, you just concentrate on one thing and one thing alone, which is this thought of this transcendental energy, which is with us. We're connecting to it. When you are aware of what you're concentrating on, you are at limb 6, which is the object of concentration. When you go deep into meditation, so we do deep silent meditation on this transcendental energy for 15, 20 minutes in silence. But music helps the concentration. So initially, we transition in with music. So music will start now, and that will help the first two steps of inward orientation and concentration. Then music fades away, and with deep, silent meditation for 15, 20 minutes. And if you continue to practice this, that should and would lead to higher consciousness or samadhi. So let's start. So Guru Maharaj wrote a lot of books, including his entire journey in a 7-volume book. One that I just was looking at, looks at the sixth limb, which is dharna, the object of concentration, or what you really want to manifest. And the key is, like, if you really really get good at this, I think you're more than halfway there. So it's very important, and there are lots of yogic literature, but Guru Maharaj, as I think Praveen was highlighting, simplicity, simplify till, it's easy to understand and easy to then, once you understand, you focus on the implementation. So basically, if we look at dharna, in Hindi, it is like dharan karna. So I have a white shirt. So I'm wearing a white shirt. That is like, so if there is a thought that you can wear on your mind, right? Basically, your mind is completely covered with it. Your mind just possesses that and nothing else. You catch hold of something. So dharana is basically believing something, to imagine, to manifest an idea, an image, a notion, a perception, a presumption, a supposition, a thought. So what is it in context of pursuit of peace? Because Guru Maharaj talks about this as a path to the ocean of peace. So so catching hold of the mind, if we bring our mind to converge all its energy, all its focus, all its concentration on one thing, which is very, very hard to do, right? Because until and unless you try something similar to this, and there are, so we also want to differentiate, like, what you have done here versus when you go to a kirtan, a bhajan, or when you're chanting. That's essentially a dharana. But then what you practice here is a deep meditation. So we want to differentiate the two. So it's almost like you give your mind a toy, like you give a toy to a toddler, and all its energy focus goes there. So think of one mantra, one name, one chant that becomes the focus of attention, and mind gets totally concentrated on it. That is your object of concentration. Some take a mantra, some use the devotional song, choir, some do outer satsang called kirtan. So when you take one object of concentration, something you're trying your mind to concentrate on, it can be something physical, it can be something abstract. So those who believe in physical form, they focus on it. Those who believe in a spiritual form, they focus on, so instead of a physical form, you can focus on like a word or light. So what we practiced was, focusing on light. So in last few centuries, a new pursuit came up where guru, who you know in person, becomes the object of concentration. So founders of Sikh religion, Kabir Panth, Guru Nanak Dev Ji and Kabir Das Ji, they were proponents of, you know, taking, connecting to the consciousness, the higher consciousness, through somebody who embodies it. So, but if you just go back to the Ashtanga yoga and inner yoga, you don't have to necessarily follow, you know, one particular, any dharana will get you to a higher state. So the idea here is to give up the multitude and multiple objects and focus on one. Concentrate your mind on one thing, be it a word, an object, a conscious form, that is any conscious being that you have love and devotion for, something that can occupy your mind so intensely and completely. So that's, you know, what we're talking about here. Get deeply connected to it. Mind just has that and nothing else. When you connect and focus on your object of concentration so deeply that there is nothing else in your mind, that is when meditation starts. So people think, you know, so when you break it down this way, you know, just concentration is a step towards meditation. That is not meditation. You know, these days, I think there are apps which will, you know, you play music and you call it meditation. That's concentration, that's dharana. That's a step towards meditation. That's not. So Guru Maharaj said, you know, God is transcendental energy. What name or form or, you know, you give, it's up to you. So according to him, dharana should be on a conscious form, not, you know, dharana cleanses your mind, makes your mind sharp and pointed, and can provide a tremendous power. So when you hit, you know, so we all, if we look at it around us, within us, there is so much negativity rather than positive, right? So we felt good because this is a positive environment. We are focusing on this positive, uplifting, transcendental energy. So what happens is during dharana, the negativity within us is hit by this sharp and pointed power of your mind. So first, this power calms your mind down, and then it fills it with this, you know, tremendous power. So what happens then? Your control over emotions and your covers and sheets in the inner world start fading away, and light, joy, and peace starts to appear. So it's, you know, what you have, you will feel, right? So if you have more negativity, and if you're attracting more negativity versus, you know, if you do this practice for a few days, you will start feeling the change. And that's the start of the transformation. Weak mind can't possess this power. So dharana is needed. Concentration brings this tremendous power. And so what happens with power? So if you see around us, anybody with power, you know, we start saying, hey, oh, he suddenly acquired this money or acquired this status, and he acts differently now. Same thing used to happen to the yogis. And I have seen that when I was growing up, these people having, you know, different clothes, different, you know, way they would be, and they appeared different, and they would literally, they used to come to my house even. So they would come to the community and say, I can tell you the future, I can do this, I can do that. And then they will induce fear to get something from you. And it's like, is that spiritual growth? But what happens is power, as you see around you, brings a possibility of misuse. And so does spiritual power too, mental powers, spiritual powers. So Guru Maharaj believed in no demonstration of any power acquired through concentration of mind. In his process of embodying transcendental energy, as we did, you will not see any different type of lights, different type of sounds, because when you see different things, you feel that you're progressing, and that, gives a bump to your ego. So what I have seen it personally, even with other satsangis, that when you are able to get this tremendous power of concentration, of focus, even worldly speaking, when people are absolutely focused, what happens? I mean, the results are better, right? Because they're able to focus, their exams are better, their, things that they're trying to do get better. But internally speaking, what will happen? If you misuse this power, you could actually, instead of reducing your anger, reducing your lust, reducing your greed, you might actually, so if I close my eyes and I'm angry on something, and now I'm able to concentrate more, I mean, my anger is now multiplied. So that is why it's not just that you should have an instructor for asanas and pranayams, because when you do it wrong, you will know it. Here, you won't even know it. Sometimes, people who have power, others can see that they are misusing it, or they are doing things they shouldn't be doing. But they themselves, if they could see, they wouldn't be doing those stupid things, or wrong things, or bad things, right? So Guru Maharaj said that is why traditionally there was gurus to help out, so that you don't turn that way. Anyway, I think this can go on and on. So, we were talking about spiritual discussions, that book, and